And yet you killed it. You actually played professionally out of the country. And how did you overcome that? I mean, yeah, 5'8.5", something like that. How did you get to that level?
Yeah, I can contribute it to coaches.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it started out when I was young. I was the only ninth grader to make our high school team at Olympus High School. Shout out to Matt Barnes. He's still coaching over at Olympus High School, just down the road. And he taught me the power of love.
Okay.
Talk about probably the biggest, I would say, paradigm shift I've ever had in my life was because of that guy.
Why? What did he say or do?
Yeah, he's a very, very powerful guy in the sense of just very influential. And I remember when I was a junior in high school thinking I was too cool for school and too cool for treating teammates the right way.
Sure.
If people miss shots, I'd be like, gosh, dang it, or,
mad at them.
They turn the ball over. What are you doing? And I had so much anger, right? Maybe it's the way I grew up. But, I found this passion called basketball, and he pulled me aside in a wrestling room one time and had a very personal conversation. He said, Ty, if you can't treat your teammates better, you can't be a part of my team, right? And I was a starting point guard over at Olympus when I was a junior, and translated where he said, okay, you either got to lead with love or you can't be a part of the team.
Wow. It's a great lesson to learn.
It was probably the most impactful one because, I got mad, thinking I was too cool, and then realized what he was trying to accomplish, what he meant. And he said, Ty, you might become one of the best leaders that ever come out of Olympus if you learn how to lead with love. And in doing so, it was almost like something came over me. Immediately, overnight, it's probably the only time I've ever switched on such a paradigm shift like that. Overnight, was able to start basically passing the ball. They miss a shot. It's okay. Get back. Let's get another one. They turn the ball over. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Let's go. And that translated into me getting a college scholarship at Westminster College.
Cool.
Got to play for the legend Tommy Connor.
Cool.
Tommy Connor is still in coaching. He's the head associate coach over at University of Washington.
Cool.
That was like the next, call it pillar in my life. At Olympus, we didn't really run a ton of plays, right? Never really had to run an offense. We just got to run and gun is what it's called. Got to go shoot a bunch of threes. We'd score 90 to 100 points a game.
Wow.
And got to Westminster College, and we ran an offense called the Princeton offense. And that is you're scoring 30 points, 40 points, 50 points max. Okay. It's a lot of execution. So what I learned from Tommy was the principle, attention to detail. Oh. Right. I remember getting yelled at one time when I was just 1 foot below free throw line extended. And Tommy made an example of me, changed my life on that too. I was never 1 foot below free throw line extended ever again. So attention to detail is what Tommy taught me. So.
Well, you know what I love about those two stories is you became a student where you talked about you were a little cocky, you were a little bit like, I know what I'm doing. And then somebody taught you something and you allowed yourself to get into the space to learn the lesson, which a lot of times when you're cocky, egotistical, those types of things, you don't learn a lesson. But you did, which is a really cool characteristic. Where do you think that came from?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably my parents.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Were they shocked when all of a sudden you're a new man?
No.
They saw it in you all along.
No, I don't know about that, but I don't think it was a shock. I probably wasn't that way to my brothers and sister.
Okay.
But my dad taught me my work ethic, right? We call it industriousness. And then everything that I learned back then has translated into business.
Yeah.
Like business and sports coincide.
Yeah.
Being able to learn these lessons, being able to be coachable. Mm-hmm. If you want to be able to play at that next level, you want to be able to just continue to grow and reach your potential. I'm a big believer in John Wooden. I don't know if you've read the book Wooden on Leadership. It was one of my business Bibles that I taught a bunch of our call center friends. John Wooden was the master at teaching a system and understanding that, you wanted to reach your max potential and you had to start from the beginning. John Wooden, his first lesson that he taught every single college, every single team they'd ever coached was how to put on shoes the right way. Right?
Okay.
Because if you don't put on shoes the right way, you get blisters. You can't reach your potential. So it's all, he called it competitive greatness is the top of the pyramid. So, and then he created this entire system that he coached for 30, 40 years, and he's the one that is the most winningest coach from a championship perspective ever to live.
How cool.
So, yeah.
I do think there's so many parallels from sports. I played basketball in high school, and into business, right?
Yep.
And I love that you took some of those. One of those is teamwork. And like your first coach taught you how to treat people with love, teach with love, lead with love.